Welcome to the Simple Minds podcast, where six mates unpack 3 topics over a new drink each week. Fuck it, just go with that. We'll fix it if it's...
Okay, hi and welcome to the show. It's Matt J. Hannam here, and I'll be hosting today's episode of the Simple Minds podcast. We're going to dig into today 2 ways you're wasting your time in your business and didn't even know it, inspired by an article from the true Mike Brown. So, who's with me? Conrad
J. Francis.
Conrad J.
It is J.
That is Joseph.
Yeah.
Nice. Travis
J. Hato.
Travis J. John.
Yeah,
Jacob.
Okay. We're all disciples
Jacob
here.
P. Moffat. Jacob Profits. It's a legit P? No, legit P. Philip. Yeah, okay.
Jacob
We're doing this.
Profit
But also
Moffat.
Profit. Yeah. Justin T. Bourne. What's up?
JT.
What's the T for again? Thomas?
Yeah.
And Michael L. Duncan. Bit
Lionel.
like Samuel
You like
L.
a Lionel.
Lionel.
Lionel, come on. Lewis. E.W.
Michael Leonard
So
Duncan.
Lewis wasn't a saint. So the rest of these guys are disciples or saints. You're the odd one out, bro.
Magic Matt's you're a John as well, aren't you?
I'm a John.
So we're having
With a
we
J.
could have a Last Supper here and we just don't invite him. Him being Lionel.
I'll be on the ceiling.
He'll be painted on the roof. Okay, so anyway, what are we drinking today? I better ask myself that question. So Custard and Co. cider. I believe it's just the original, and I'm not a massive cider person. So
what did you
Jacob?
do?
It's a good one.
Well, it's a warm day. It's 36 out here in sunny Perth. And I was having a conversation with Justin 90 minutes prior to this, and he said, cider sounds good. So
Because we have it, I can't recall if have we ever had a cider?
Yeah, we have.
One of the...
Dave just whinged the whole time.
I wasn't
right.
present. Yeah, he had a
so-
whiskey or something, didn't
Yeah.
he? That was shocking.
It's the only time someone's not partaken in the drink.
That's why he's never been back.
so I wandered on up to the International Beer Shop and purchased some cider.
Oh, that's what I was going. There's a cartoon. There's a cartoon called Rhubarb and Custard. I just had to Google.
I know the theme tune to that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's a brilliant show.
Yeah. You guys are too young, but crackerjack show.
That running dog.
Great. Let's cheers. I'm thirsty.
I've got short arms. I'm not playing.
And long pockets.
Good Aussie band called Custard as well.
Indeed.
That's not bad.
Not bad. Refreshing.
Made in
It tastes better
Donnybrook.
than what I remember.
Local.
I think it's because I've had this one in the fridge for like a year or 2,
nice.
maybe even 3.
It's nice and cold.
Did it age
What are we
well?
talking about, Matt?
Well, I mentioned earlier we're talking today about 2 ways you're wasting your time in your business and didn't even know it. Not by Mike Brown. This article was written by the true Mike Brown.
Well, what's the difference?
What the hell? Who's the other Mike Brown?
Well, I guess it's a somewhat common name.
It is.
He needed to differentiate himself.
A bit like Jay.
A bit like putting a J in your name, Conrad J.
I didn't put it in there.
Swaggy J. Francis. You did.
The true Mike Brown. Who's Amanda Abella then?
Huh?
Who's Amanda Abella on this article? Amanda Abella, and then the true Mike Brown is Pixabay. Did the true Mike Brown just do the picture?
Oh, really?
Aren't we a bunch of fucking twats?
No, not we. I. So in clipping,
Well, then no one else challenged you, so everyone just bought
Correct.
you fucking told them.
So in clipping this article into Evernote, clearly that's not. So are you suggesting there's?
Thank
not
you,
a
Amanda,
author?
for writing the article that we're about to discuss today.
Amanda, I'm so sorry. I'll be reaching out to you
The
personally.
true Amanda.
And
True
you'll be
Amanda,
tagged.
hug and kiss.
The true Amanda.
But you know
will
what?
be-
Thank you, Mike, for the great caricature that you
Well,
drew.
it's a great image, and the true Mike Brown. And thank you, Evernote, for not quite clipping.
The
this.
article did have lots of like blocks of ads and lots of shit
It
going
was
on.
it was a challenge. So I will anyway. Let's get into the real conversation.
Wasting fucking time.
Wasting
about,
time.
Talking about wasting time. About wasting time.
That's right. Whilst wasting time.
The
on this
irony.
podcast. So the article goes to say, look, a common theme the author sees with business owners is how wasting time leads to basically a struggling business. And by wasting time, they don't just mean wasting time on tasks, but also wasting time by taking too long to make decisions. The quote that was raised, I guess what led to the article was the quote that was heard on a podcast, "Money likes speed." And the idea is that struggling businesses are struggling precisely because they're hung up on miniature items, they don't move fast enough, and as a result they waste time. 2 examples of that is taking too long to make decisions and focusing on perfectionism. Kind of can almost be looked at as the same thing at times. But I saw the article and certainly the quote, "Money likes speed," and I definitely have seen examples of this in my business all the time. I mean,
Money flies out of my wallet all the time, man.
okay, well, let's start with you, Conrad. So, money likes speed.
Money loves speed. No, the only
Do you operate at what, the speed of light?
I don't have problems making decisions. I'm probably too fast in some respects, and create a lot of fucking mess and then have to clean it up. But and that's I remember my mum was trying to make some decisions when Dad passed away, and she was having a problem because they'd made all these decisions for her. And so I taught her how I make decisions real quick. I just get a coin out and I go to flip it, and usually your gut's telling you the answer you want, or right before you flip it, or as it's landed and you don't want to see the answer. So I did that with Mum a couple of times, and she got really uncomfortable because I was making decisions really, really fast for her. But to talk about the article, I had a staff member resign 2 weeks ago, largely because he was chasing perfectionism and wanting to perfect everything he was doing. And in doing that, wasn't working through the situation or the transactions fast enough, and just got himself bogged down, which caused frustration with him. So I do get it. I don't necessarily experience it a lot. And I know I do waste time. We all do, but not in the context of what that article talks about.
Interesting. Hato?
I was just going to say, just like you don't quit.
No, he doesn't quit.
Anything?
Doesn't waste time. He makes decisions.
I think it's pretty obvious that I don't quit.
But is it okay to acknowledge every now and then you do waste time? I
don't think I waste time in the definitions as Dave put it. I don't have anything I procrastinate on too long.
I don't know, I'll challenge you on that, because I think everyone does. I think to a certain extent, I think I move quite quickly as well, but then there are things that will just become stagnant, and I struggle to make a decision on. After reading your article, Matt, that you put around from the true Mike Brown, it made me reflect, and I was like, well, what things do I do procrastinate on? And I couldn't really pinpoint it in, I don't know, it's just something that either doesn't have a deadline or doesn't really matter. And I think the perfectionist thing definitely comes in. So I think it's a little bit of...
No, you're right. You are right. We all procrastinate. We all waste time, all right? And where I probably do it a lot, well, no, I lied here. I know I do it. I invest a lot of time in people, as you know, right?
Yeah.
So I probably do, and I know I do spend a lot of time in some stages flogging a dead horse. And in this staff member's situation, I probably knew that he was never going to get it, but I saw in him what he didn't necessarily see in him. So I probably wasted time there. I probably should have cut him earlier and served him better. So that's a real example, and I know I wasted time there.
And money?
Yeah, you always do, because they're a salaried employee, so yeah, you do. Without a doubt. And I know it's because I always, and I say this to people, the most frustrating thing in life is actually seeing the greatness in a person that they don't see themselves. And it is still a continued frustration for me.
And in that, that's a really good example. Most of us, all of us here, have employed staff and or contractors on many occasions. How often do you think that you could put your hand up and say, look, I let go of them at the right time? Or did you, like me, let go of them, let them go much, much later than probably what you should have? And in that situation, as you've just said, Conrad, it's cost you time and money, and opportunity cost.
Yeah, for sure.
And well-being.
Yeah,
and
for sure, yeah.
The mental side of it, I think, is one of the major impacts on me personally, or when you come down to something like that.
I can argue that I've done the same thing in relationships. Would I probably outstayed my welcome in the relationships I've been in, where I probably should have called a spade and and manned up and probably walked out. I probably wasted time there too. But like I said, within business, I think the most thing is, well, just in life, I think I do spend time with people, and I'm probably waste more time with people, unfortunately, because I just want to see them get to their potential.
Is that wasting time, though?
When they don't set themselves, Mike, it has to be.
But is that not why is it a challenge for you to?
It's a challenge for me to get better with
let
spending
them
the time.
see what's happening. And is that a frustration on yourself then that they then don't see the?
Yeah, it is a frustration. But I mean, it is all for me though. I mean, what I should be recognising in those situations are, am I spending enough time with the people that want to spend the time with and want to do the work on themselves versus why am I flocking a dead horse over there?
So you need to get better at seeing that quicker, I suppose, and sort of making that decision.
But they might see that in 5 years' time and then make that dramatic change.
Yeah.
So it's never lost time, really.
Potentially.
Yeah, I don't think time is ever truly wasted. You never deliberately set out to just spend your kind of precious time doing something that's not valuable. However,
I don't know, mate. Just how many blunts you've smoked.
Sorry, go on.
Maybe Hader has before the show.
but that time always serves you in some way. Like if you know you've got a big task you've got to do, and I'm certainly guilty of it, but you then spend that time on smaller jobs within the business, or for me it might be training out the gym floor or taking a
perusing on Instagram.
Taking a moment to spend 10-15 minutes on Instagram or something. That time serves you as leisure. It serves you as a bit of a break. Like
I would disagree. Like on the statement, I think that's where you're laughing as well.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Because it doesn't always serve you. Like, how does perusing on Instagram serve you? If you're defining it as specific leisure time, i.e. having a break between something, but if you're sitting there and you wanting to achieve X, Y, and Z, or you have responsibilities in X, Y, or Z, and you're sitting there perusing, not doing that one thing, how is that serving you?
It's not serving the bigger purpose, but in that moment,
it's still not serving you.
The desire to take a step back and procrastinate is greater than the desire to. It's serving you in a negative way. It's not serving you in a positive way. That's for sure.
Is it disserving you? So that's not serving you.
It's serving a purpose in that moment, and the purpose is to play within your comfort zone.
Then it's not serving you. It's allowing you to play. I mean, you can't serve if the purpose is. That's why you have disservice as a word. So it's serving you if you want to waste time. Yeah, if you're purposely wasting time, it's serving you. If you're not purposely wasting time, it's not serving you.
Yeah,
it's distracting you.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Especially if you don't get back to what you're meant to be doing. I mean, if you start perusing and then are self-aware enough to go, fuck, what am I doing? What am I doing? Let's get back to it. And you hit it harder, maybe it's serving you a little bit, but if it's just, as you said, Justin, just wasting time.
Yeah, you got to call a spade a spade. I mean, you can't play. And to get movement, and this is what we allow ourselves, or the stories we tell ourselves, which is a big thing today. I did a meditation that talked about the stories we tell ourselves. And it's massive. The stories we tell ourselves create the reality that we live in. Okay, so if Jacob believes perusing the Instagram or whatever he peruses is serving him, then great. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's where I said, if it's so taking from something, which then is deserving you of the
if you should be doing something else,
yes.
If you should be doing something else, and this is in the context of this article, right? If your business is dictating that you should be doing something to drive your business, and you are playing on fucking social media, and you're not driving business from that, you are wasting time.
Yeah, 100%.
A great example is, and many of us, we've all had this in a situation, is where there's something that you probably should proactively raise with the client. And rather than jumping on and making that communication quickly, you just think, we'll fix that later, we'll do that next time. And you end up, the problem either fragments further, or you lose the power and the frame to go and change a situation. That happens, I think, all the time. And often I think it's just.
But is that time wasting, or is that you're actually afraid to tackle the issue?
It is against potentially the goals you're trying to achieve, because if you're not, I think what it is, it's not wanting to have a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much every one of these things, whether it's a staff member, whether it's a client, whatever it is, either you're not wanting to have a difficult conversation with someone else, or you're jumping and perusing Instagram because you don't want to have a difficult conversation with yourself.
Or you don't want to make the phone call or send the email.
Yeah, do the difficult task.
Yeah.
But it's usually a confronting challenge with another person.
Well,
Yeah, so you sit on Instagram, it's more comfortable, it's whatever, it serves that. It serves the purpose of not doing what you should be doing, which therefore disservices you. But, I mean, I do it all the time. Like, this is probably one of my biggest weaknesses and downfalls is not making the decisions and the perfectionism piece. So a recent example was we're hosting a 2-day conference over in Sydney, an industry event. And it's called Unimagined, and I announced this back 2 or 3 months ago in Vienna on stage. I announced it there, which kind of thrust me into the external accountability. I had cold feet as well. I wasn't sure about announcing it there. And then I come back and I did nothing about it for like 2 months. And I lost a lot of ground. And then I went to go to launch and announce this further to build up a pre-registration kind of campaign. And I sat on this for too long, and I remember having a meeting here in this office with Matt and his team who were helping out with the marketing, and I was waiting on a logo. So the reason that I didn't do anything on this thing is because I wasn't happy with the logo I had put together. It took too long to invest and make a decision around the investment price. So I could have had the logo done and designed by the time I got back from Europe. I didn't want to spend the money because I was like hedging and all of this. And I think in the one night, the next day after this meeting, I had something put together. I had the announcement, I had the landing page, we had everything, and within 24 hours after two months of just bullshit, announced it, even though the logo was a week away. So the logo was coming a week later. Ended up announcing it with the old logo, and then just ended up re-updating it with the other logo later on. And for the most part, no one even cares, and no one even noticed. And who gives a shit?
Well, that's what most decisions are about, right? It's making the decision, taking the action, iterate it if you need to.
Yeah, but I sat on it for 2 months because I was waiting for the logo.
But you were using the logo as the excuse.
I was using the logo as the excuse because of my perception outwards in the brand and blah, 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 stupid stories. And within 24 hours after going, fuck it, got it launched, and we had like 200 registers in like a week, and none of it mattered. I ended up making another decision when I posted it, which screwed me over anyway, which got me into some other mess, which now I'm in another situation where I have to make a decision about that thing.
So let's make it. Can we toss a coin on it?
You can probably toss a coin on it, but I wouldn't toss a coin. But again, it's a tough decision, and maybe I'm sitting on it.
Is it really a tough decision?
It's not.
Or is it just a story telling you something?
Sorry?
No, it's not. I think you know the answer.
It's
I know the answer. It's just whether I got to weigh up the second and third order consequences.
And in weighing those up, the framework that we use in the dialogue we use, calling it a tough decision, is it really a tough decision?
I think the outcome is so unknown that makes it the tough decision.
Does it really matter?
Maybe it's important, not tough.
In the short, it's probably important. It's probably a better way of doing it. The short-term ramifications, which
I don't like the tags. I just make a fucking decision. You're not. It's not life or death, mate.
No, it's not. It's not life or death. So, but it's an important decision. I don't even know if it's an important decision.
Are you using anything like the logo as a? Are you using something that you're waiting for as an excuse?
No. This current decision is
Put it out there.
Sorry,
Go on, put it out there.
Is impactful. It's a feud between individuals, and essentially I have to pick sides.
Pick it.
And that has ramifications in the short term and potentially the long term, and I have to weigh those up.
Well, put the context back to what the conversation was we were talking about with the discussion about my business going at the start of this, right? I had to pick a point in the sand where I had to push forward. I had to decide to front the fuck up. All right, this thing's been going on for too long.
And I think
make a stand.
I think that's where it gets to, right? And I think I know where it's at. It's just one of those things where I don't know. It's like you kind of how many of you sat with a decision and you asked 3 or 4 people first, like, oh, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about, does anyone, I don't know if anyone else does that, but I do that. And you kind of get some guidance and thoughts and you're kind of weighing it all up. And yeah, maybe deep down you do always know. And
you know.
I already know. But it's just whether you bite the bullet, because same with the employee thing. I've been in a similar situation recently, didn't make a decision quick enough and that burnt money. Again, it's that...
But your gut tells you, man.
Unknown
Beyond
component.
the gut, right? Beyond the gut.
It's challenging.
Journaling. How often do you feel like, oh, this is a really close decision? I don't know if you guys have done this, but many times I'll just get a piece of paper, line down the middle,
Pros and cons.
plus,
Pros and cons.
minus. Not even SWOT or anything, just plus, minus. You start writing and you're like, oh shit, hang on. 75% of things I've written are on one side. I knew this.
Never do it. I just pull a coin out.
Well, it's the same thing.
No, it's not. You're just trying to logicise your intuition.
Yeah.
Your gut's telling you already, guys.
What about the way
You're all fucking alchemists. You know that.
the way you're framing the question? You're saying it's this guy against this guy. Is it? Is that the
No, it's
full
not.
thing?
It's not. It's a story, man.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Yeah,
And the story ain't real.
and can't you use the creativity aspect to look at?
It is legit. I'm in a position to pick one or the other.
Yeah, but
no, it's legit.
Yeah, but it is what it is. You pick in a story, right? Whatever happens.
Look, it's such a silly situation. The fact that I'm even in it is ridiculous.
So you got to get over it and gone.
Yeah, and I have to think about the long term. But you know, it's just fascinating. Like through these things over the last few months, I've come to realize as well how long. Yeah, we sit on stuff, and even emails that sit in the inbox for way too long. You know, like the last
Don't look at my emails.
The last week or two.
Don't you?
You know, this last week I've changed my mentality around, I guess, approaching that, and I've had more momentum, more action, more everything. So with this whole conference thing, within the week, it's been maybe 2 weeks worth of effort, but I've secured 3 sponsors, we've sold some tickets, we've announced it, things are moving, everything's delayed, but the amount of time you just sit on...
Are you using this, though, as an excuse not to go forward with other aspects of it?
No, I'm not.
Is it stopping you from doing other stuff?
No, I'm not roadblocked at the moment by the decision.
Cool.
So,
But you have been.
I have been. Yes, that is correct. And again, it was an uncomfortable conversation that I had to have. So again, it's, I guess, almost every time there's a big decision, there's always uncomfort on the other side. And it's that piece of being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And you've got to keep pushing through that. And I guess that's where the speed loves money.
It's not life or death, bro.
Do you think self-doubt comes into a lot of those decisions?
Sure. So, to talk about self-doubt, good point. Self-doubt comes back to self-love, all right? It's respect of self, all right? And when you're going up, and you're clearly going to another level with this, you're clearly challenging yourself at another level. So, therefore, in challenging yourself, you're questioning yourself.
Yeah, so
and you've just got to go deeper in yourself.
And so, like in some of the earlier stages, which I'm now overcoming, is like putting myself out there in this thing was a big deal, which is, again, why it took 2 months. The logo was another excuse because it's going to another level of uncomfort.
Yep.
There's a lot involved, and I think Matt, you obviously went through a similar experience recently. I think staff is a great one that we always go through as well. And
it's great to cut your teeth on, mate.
You hold those decisions, and I think, like I was saying, yes, I think you and I, Conrad, are having a conversation. The more you put yourself like. This tough phone call that I had 12 or 18 months ago, I would have procrastinated on the phone call for probably a good month. Yesterday, I made it happen, and you just almost become numb. I would have had butterflies. I would have been nervous. I would have been like scared, and like you just almost become numb to sometimes these conversations. And the more and more you do it, which I guess allows you to make the decisions faster and faster and faster. But it's just crazy.
What is the situation teaching you, or what are the people teaching you? That's what I would sit with. Yeah. Because that's exactly where it is at the moment. What is it teaching you about you? And then it becomes who do you want to learn from?
I think it's a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
That one. So
yeah.
Don't you look like you were trying to get an answer.
No, I'm thinking. I'm like taking it in.
But going back to your logo piece, it's funny. Everyone can probably count on the fingers and toes the amount of times you've spoken to a new business person and they go, "Oh, I can't launch this yet because I haven't got I haven't got my business cards, or I haven't got my logo done, or I haven't got my website I just think that's pretty funny, and the amount of times you hear that person telling them that story to themselves because they can't do something because something's not in line. As well, like going back to your event, like at what point is everything going to be perfectly in line for you to then pull the trigger, or are you going to find something else?
It never will be.
And it never will be. And we're pushing through it. Like, I don't even have a website. Like, we're updating the landing page at the moment, a single one, which is pretty average, to launch this premier event that people are paying up to $500 to $1,000 for a ticket. And we just got an Eventbrite page launched, and it doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't. But we sit on shit for so long. Yeah, business cards or the logo. My logo's changed twice, I think, in having my business. No one gives a shit.
Mike will probably hate me saying this, but when I get asked where would you spend $5,000 or $10,000 when you're starting up a business, I said, find the people you want to be working with and go and buy them lunch and sit with them. Pay whatever you need to sit around the best people in your industry to learn from them. They said, well, what about my business card? Or what about my with Comslips? I said, fuck it. Go and spend time with people.
With Comslips? When did they ask you this, in the 80s?
No, I have real businesses, mate.
Hey, Conrad, use the coin technique to make decisions.
I love that.
I do the coin, but
and Siri helps me out. I don't even need the coin anymore. Siri does it.
That's pretty cool. The other one that I like to ask myself, if you're battling with if you're not as cutthroat as Conrad, you can just do the coin.
I was going to go on dates with people.
Ask yourself, what is the worst case scenario? So if you make this decision, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? All right. So say if you go, you're looking between two options, and one's you make $5,000 and the other one's you lose $1,000 or whatever. Like,
go the 5.
What's the worst case scenario? Like, is that really that bad? Or is it, if you're running and your shoes fall off, like, what's the worst case scenario? Your feet get cut up.
But if you lose $1,000 to make 5, is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm just saying, like, what's the worst case scenario of the decision that you can make?
It's reverse engineering the conversation. Yeah, no, that's a great way of going about it.
So then, if you are telling yourself that bullshit story all the time, and you go, well, if I do start this business, what's the worst case scenario of what I'm doing? All right, it's a side hustle at the moment. I'm still working 5 days a week as an accountant. What's the worst thing? Oh, I've lost a little bit of time. Maybe some time with my family. Is that such a bad thing in a 6-month period? Whereas I could build something that I could work for myself for the next 10 years. That's the best case scenario. But what's the actual worst case scenario to it? That I ask myself a lot.
No, that's a great way of doing it, and I have used that technique before, and I encourage my guys to use that technique because just flipping a coin is pretty rough. But yeah, that's a very studious way and a very mature way of doing it, Travis.
That's unlike me.
It's the dad coming out in you, mate.
The dad, yeah. But and you typically find that the worst case scenario never happens.
Exactly.
It's rarely the case.
It's always worse than you think it's going to be.
Yeah, better than what you think it'll be.
Bullshit stories, mate.
Like you always make it sound worse than it's going to actually be. Like, that's the exact process I used. I came to breakfast with you guys probably 6 months ago about having to let a team member go. It's something I've been sitting on for probably 12, 18 months, like not long after they started, more or less, that I just realised they weren't a good culture fit, they weren't good for the brand and the culture and the team. But I kind of sat on it for a while, thought, no, I'll give them a chance, I'll let them continue, maybe they'll change. A lot of the kind of old stories, because I didn't want to have that hard conversation. It wasn't until I had a huge body of evidence that they're planning and were going to begin their own business. That was essentially a direct competitor, that I thought, now I've got sufficient weight behind this decision for me to be cool with making it. However, had I trusted my gut 12, 18 months before that, we would have saved a whole lot of money, the culture would have been improved long ago, and pretty much in the 4 or 5 months since we've made that decision, like a full 180 flip in several team members. Everyone's happier, members are happier, the culture's better, finances are improving. Everything has changed since that tipping point, and I just wish we did that earlier.
Does anyone, what I have found fascinating, and particularly of late, we make decisions pretty quickly when we're forced to, and I remember Sam Cawthorn on the show talked about, obviously, ways of moving forward, lighting the fire and creating like artificial fire. Another friend of ours shared how he only had $150 left in his bank and made some fucking decisions finally, and went out and
when you have to make decisions,
and then took action. again, wasn't focusing on the perfectionism, took some action and got some amazing results. Only when the fire was there, and I think my problem has always been in the past, when the fire is there, then you finally make that, when it's actually hurting. You know, how can you avoid that? Or alternatively, how do you stop the bleeding?
You can avoid it. You can
create artificial fires, I guess you could say.
You can avoid it, right? And I think you guys discussed Edison a few episodes back in relation to how he stayed in his creative genius space. But the way you avoid that is by creating a great, massive purpose vision statement. You know, aiming for the fucking absolute moon and believing in that. That's what drives you forward. Now, there's other ways you can trigger yourself to movement, and that's, you know, how you remunerate yourself or how you reward yourself along the way. You know, there's ways you can trigger that, but the biggest thing is making sure that you believe in what it is you're going to deliver.
I think what Jacob said before about the gut feeling as well. People don't rely on their gut anymore to make decisions.
Intuitive state. That's what I'm saying.
We're disconnected from that feeling.
I agree with you.
So, imagine if everybody in the world just went on their gut feeling. I reckon we'd be in a pretty good place.
Well, I shared with you guys this morning something that one of my guys, one of my mentors and an author, William, shared, which I like his stuff, particularly when he's in the flow of running a course. And he said here, no matter how well you can swim, if you're swimming against the current or rip, as we say in Australia, you're not going to get anywhere fast. In terms of consciousness, there are certain misconceptions that will impede your growth and success as surely as any rip in the sea, no matter your gifts, talents, abilities, or drive and determination. Chief amongst these misconceptions are: tension is bad. Tension is in fact an essential creative force as well as a powerful tool for self-awareness. You have to understand and have everything worked out. In truth, not knowing is the starting point of superconscious wisdom. Conditions have the power, not you. In fact, you always have the power, including the power to give conditions the power. If you want to be free, notice to the existential rules that the general population live by and throw them away.
I like that little bit at the end. It was good.
But this is what I'm saying. What we're talking about, we're thinking conventionally when the truth is we already have the power. But we're giving people that we don't know the power.
Or logos or whatever it is.
The power. You know, own the fucking power. Make the decision, accept the outcome, and move forward. And this is why I really am, you know, and I love what Travis said because I do use that technique, but why I love coming back to the coin is because the coin fine-tunes my gut. It lets me get to that point of feeling. You already fucking know.
I 100% agree with you, Conrad. I use the coin, and it's been introduced from the Holy Master himself. I agree. 100%.
So it's like the coin's tapping into the subconscious. Yeah, it's making a decision go boom and straight out, and it's coming from behind, not from the head. It's
because why fuck around?
It's gold.
Why fuck around and tell yourself all these stories when you can simply flip a coin and you already know the answer that you want?
Well, this is what we're talking about with numerology and stuff like that. You use this sort of stuff just to friggin' change the consciousness, move forward, go to different areas.
And I'm trying to keep you guys in the loop as to the tools I use.
We're in the loop.
Thanks, Conrad.
You're not skeptics.
Hey, just not to go away from you, C. Razzle, I apologise. But
no, but before you go there, but I just want to say that coin thing is not mine, right? That coin thing came from a story of King Solomon, and there was a story in the King Solomon's journals, some of this wise leader who had to decide whether a child was belonging to one woman or another. And he went to slice the child because he couldn't make the decision. And right before he sliced the child, the mother cried and ran away, and he awarded the child to the mother. That's how he determined it. And that's how so that's a biblical story. I just probably butchered it, but that's effectively the story.
So this is a story of the true Conrad Francis.
Pardon the pun, you just probably butchered
it. I didn't butcher the baby.
Hey, Matt, you brought the topic, so obviously it's been playing on you for a little while or something going on there.
Come on, mate.
Share.
Drop some bombs.
Yeah, no, look, there's not really a lot of bombs to drop. I saw the article and I thought...
We chatted yesterday. There's some things you're procrastinating on.
Well, I think I'm in the wrong podcast, because isn't this about perfectionism?
Well,
that's all I didn't go on down the path of...
Well,
I'm joining the conversation, but...
There's only about 10 words that you need to be looked at. Some of them are focusing on perfectionism, the other bit's taking too long to make decisions. But no, I think... I definitely have and do. I certainly do around staffing and resource matters on probably both sides of the equation.
Vision.
So,
let's talk vision.
Let's talk vision. Okay. Sure.
Why?
Okay, well, let's go to the
Mike
why.
just left
Well,
the
let's go to
room.
the why. I know what we do, and I know what our mission is. I don't know how I intend to manifest that into the size scale of the operation that I'm building and what that looks like over the next 5 years, 10 years. I don't have a 5 to 10 year goal.
But why not? Are you not procrastinating on that?
Yes.
Why?
I'm using, just like the logo piece, I'm using other items to create busyness.
And
front of putting that
the
work
truth is, you can fucking say something today, and it can change tomorrow. And like I keep saying to people, unless the decision is to either jump off a cliff and kill yourself, or jump in front of a bus and kill yourself, you're going to get the opportunity to remake that decision.
Yeah, I also sometimes think we get too hung up on vision and why as
No,
well.
I wasn't going down the vision because I want to know, but it's a decision that you've got to make to go somewhere. Otherwise, you just meander nowhere.
Yes. Yeah, just decide on something,
Yeah.
and it could change. But we procrastinate on the whole idea of
I
trying
think
to
it's such a big
Or it
thing.
needs to
find
be
a why or a
perfect.
vision.
Yeah? It needs to be a perfect vision.
or sound
whatever
good,
that
or
is.
be in its one sentence, or I don't know.
But it's got to be something, because it's important that drives you, right? And like we come back to what's going to stop you from procrastinating, or what's going to stop you from not making those decisions, is not being big enough or believing in it enough. And that's where the problems all exist. Because you don't have that pull. You have this pull. You know, why would you go to your phone and go on Instagram? Because you either don't want to or you don't believe in. That's it.
I think a big thing that often holds me back from taking decisions or taking action on that perfectionism piece is just the expectation that it has to be a certain way. I think every time I look at like Gary V's content, for example, I go, oh, he's made a spelling mistake there. This is a bit pretty shit content. Like, it's pretty simple. It's just chopped up from here. I take his stuff and go, he just goes, throws stuff at the wall and just sees what sticks. And it's just action, action, action. And then, like you said, Conrad, iterate it, change it, adjust it. But if you wait until you've got that perfect logo, if you wait until you've got that perfect product to launch, if you wait until... Often the best way to do it is put it out into the market and let them tell you
For sure.
how to improve it. Because you're only one piece of the puzzle. You've got to put it out there and kind of get the feedback.
Well, people look at perfectionism or something perfect, and it's an impossible task to get there, because they'll see something like Gary V's content, right, and go, okay, I'll try and do that. I'll try and replicate that. And they don't realize how fucking hard it is, how much suffering you need to go through to get to that perfect point. They think perfectionism can manifest really quickly, which is just impossible.
And it often happens with my marketing where I'm like, I know I've got to deliver this ad or put together this thing, and you sit on, I've got to get the perfect image, I've got to get the perfect video, I've got to make the perfect copy, I've got to make sure I target
That takes
the perfect
work. If you want that,
audience.
it's a fucking shitload of work.
I've got
do
to
that.
link this in this way and get all the backlinks and all the funnel all linked up perfectly. But waiting for all the kind of chips to align is what stops you. Whereas at the moment, I'm just like, just put something out there, get some feedback, adjust it.
I don't think there's anything wrong in trying to create something that's perfect.
You want it to be
To a
good enough.
degree,
You're not
but-
just going to put shit out there, but you've essentially got to put...
And realize it's hard to do. Like, realize it is hard to get to
something
that
that's
point.
good enough is better
It
than
takes work.
something that's perfect but not delivered.
I've seen this quite a bit lately with some clients, in that we do what we do, we'll post some content on their social profiles, and then the idea is that they can clearly put some stuff up there themselves. And they will. And so the majority of people, there's not a lot different in what they've done versus what we've done, but they will get 0% engagement compared to the other piece of content. And it's just that time and skill. But without learning that, like, you can't just mimic what Gary puts out. You've got to do it over and over and over and over
With
and over
a team
again.
of 12 people as well.
Until you get yourself there. And I looked at that. That was a really good example, because same feed, same everything. To the majority of people, the content wasn't that different, but it was enough. So I was going to run that question to you, Mike. How do you see perfectionism as an issue in the creative industry?
It's an interesting one because the way I look at perfectionism is through the client's eyes. So I want to get to a stage that the client sees it as perfect. Because I mean, if I see something as perfect because I'm in that creative space and I know, like, from the pixel to everything, I could procrastinate forever to get to that perfect spot. My perfect's probably up here, client's perfect's probably down here. So we try and kind of maybe get a in between and hit a really good run. So I'm not a perfectionist.
How do you know when to stop?
Probably when the fires start. Like like when the little bits start coming in, when you get that feedback, stop and fucking move on. That's probably where.
I mean, like when you're creating something, like, and you've got a level of the client expectation.
I do use my gut a lot.
Yeah.
Like I know where I'm happy
do you draw
with
that
it.
line?
Yeah, I feel if I'm happy with it or not, and I trust that enough to move on. And I mean, you know, fingers crossed, touch wood. It's worked. It's worked so far. So.
As an example, like I've read the audiobook or the like autobiography of Leonardo da Vinci a couple months ago, and he was probably, many consider him to be one of the greatest artists of all time. However, he was also
write an autobiography.
No. Sorry, biography.
He did a little bit. There's 7,000 pages of his notes. And
There's a
stuff
shitload of his journaling.
Yeah.
Sniper Conrad Francis.
No, if there was one, I haven't read it. I'd be pissed with myself.
A lot of it is his own journaling and notes, but it's been put together by Walter Isaacson.
I have to go have a look at it.
But he was-
Walter Isaacson.
It's really good. I'm listening to it just now.
It's good, but he was also probably one of history's greatest procrastinators and non-finishers. He only finished about 2 to 3 commissioned pieces. Like he
only had 3 commissioned ones and he didn't finish any. He finished one of them and 2 of them.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of the
unfinished.
statues don't have any
never
arms and
finished
heads.
anything. He went back for like 20, 30 years and just put another brush stroke, another little bit, and would just sit on
Just
things.
taking the piss.
It never finished.
Paid by the hour.
They'd be chasing invoices. They'd be saying, "Hey, we can't pay you for this," and you just be like, "Oh, fuck you then. I won't finish it." Like, but that was because he was just such a perfectionist and just wasn't ever able to see anything as
That's
complete.
crazy.
So you've got to find a balance between getting stuff out that's good enough,
If you want to get paid for it, because he
course,
clearly didn't give a shit.
but not. And I look at like Gary V's content. I look at some of the industry leaders in the fitness world, and they've got these great videos. They've got videographers. They've got content. And it's kind of looking at those people and going, "That's what I would like to be eventually," but not judging yourself against that standard, because then you'll never put it out there. Every time I take a video of my class on my iPhone, I'm like,
But you're
course,
looking at Gary's V stuff, saying it's really easy, it's really quick, and boom, boom, boom. But fuck, there's 12 people working 24 hours a day on that shit.
Well, yeah, go back to Gary V when Gary V was your size, and then you were playing apples with apples. And I keep
about 12.
I keep
Well,
coming
go back to the first episode of Wine Library TV. Yeah, dodgy ads.
I think it's ridiculous. I think the things that we do and we would compare ourselves to are not apples and apples, and that's half the problem.
Yeah, they reckon don't judge yourself against where someone else is today. Judge yourself against where you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's...
And I watch your content all the time, mate. I mean, I don't watch a lot of people's content specifically, but when yours comes up, I pay attention because I'm amazed about what you do.
But that's which loops back into the action piece and the full circle of, like, you know, just whether it's posting or doing work or even like Hato with photography, like, you know, we get commissioned to do images. That's my whole business, right? And we've produced probably thousands over the last 4 years, and only 10% at best are any good, like are really good. Probably a good, and then 1% are like really good, and like the rest are some we would refer to in the industry as closet images. You would just never put them out there. You get paid to do them. You've got to do them. But
if any of your clients are listening to this, they're going to be thinking, "Shit, which images is he referring to?"
There's always some.
They're there for
know.
a reason, right?
They're there for a reason.
Outcome.
But I'm sure, Hato, you'd have a lot of closet photos as well of yourself.
It takes a lot of photos from the
98%.
closets.
I mean, Hato, how many pictures do you take on, say, a photo shoot, say a half-day photo shoot, right? And how many would come out perfect? Like,
So put example, I did a big photo shoot for Fraser's property, right? We did a 5-hour shoot with Matthew Pavlich, big football star. We got that was 4 or 5 hours. We did 3 or 4. We got 6 photos out of that.
How many like pics altogether? If you were to
Probably
snap?
2,000.
Yeah.
1,500 sort of thing. Probably not that much actually for that shoot. But you shoot like a full day shoot, depending on what it is.
Have you insured your finger?
You can get up to 2,000. 2,000 photos, yeah. So, like, say for a client, you shoot all day for them and you give them 100 images. My emphasis is quality over quantity. So you want to keep your set a little bit tighter to increase your quality. So then it makes you look better, but you don't want to give them too little because then they don't feel value for money. So it's that real fine line of that commercial sort of creating content. But Michael, I think you hit it the head on the nail. It's like where you're yeah, that's one. It's a
You can have head from a nail if you want.
yeah, that's one. Anyway, you're a sniper today, aren't you?
I just
Your attention to detail. You should be a photographer. You have good attention to detail.
I am not.
Attention to language.
I'm an import, right? I was born outside this country. English is a second language to me. But my grandfather was a grammar teacher.
Oh, very good. Yeah. Anyway, our perfection is much higher than the client's perfection, and a lot of creatives don't realise that, and that's one thing I learnt very early on. And I can put that. That's one of the reasons I reckon I've succeeded as a photographer in my industry is because I've known that and I understand that. So a lot of the time, what you deem is not perfect, a lot of people are losing their shit over.
Marco's terrible, right?
Oh, full on.
He is full on, and he keeps on asking me for advice, and I love watching his work. But I don't know how to pick faults in it. He goes, "You always just say you like it." I said, "Well, you keep sending it to me."
But the answer's volume, right? And that's the thing, you said it there, Max. To get 6 photos, it's not some amazing creative who's taken 9 and 6 are good. The answer is that you have to be confident and comfortable to
take the shots,
continue doing the work.
I guess it's the same with the decisions. You probably make 100 wrong decisions and 2 right ones. Conrad, they're all right?
No, I've made a fucking ton of wrong ones, man. Jesus. I'm still driving around with 2002 Nissan Maximas I got kindly pointed out to me. I've made a lot of wrong decisions.
I just couldn't believe you were driving a V6 for fuel efficiency.
But
Why do you think I moved to a 4-cylinder? Right. I think it's 3-cylinder.
Yours is I was going to say yours is a 2-cylinder. It is. But I embrace wrong decisions because, like I said, if it's not life and death, one or two things are going to happen, right? You're going to go down a path that's wonderful and exciting and new, or have to re-loop around and relearn a lesson that you should have learnt from a previous situation.
We have the opportunity to learn, whether if you learn that lesson.
Did I teach you that one as well?
Yeah, you did.
What happens if it
That's
is
a Conradism.
a Conradism? What happens if it is life and death, Conrad?
Choose life.
I like that. Train spotting.
No, it's Wham, isn't it? Isn't that one of the Wham things? Choose life?
Yeah.
Choose life.
How do you guys find this shows up in the difference between producing work for clients versus working on your own business? Like Justin's example before about creating that artificial fire. I remember when I was back at school or university when they said the deadline is the 30th of December, you've got to get this assignment due. You'd get right up to it, and then you can procrastinate no longer and you pump out some work. I think when you've got clients that have got expectations and you've got to do the work, it's easy to kind of, you have to do it. It's a lot harder to take those moments of kind of procrastination.
It's
Whereas
accountability, bro.
Marketing in your own business or anything.
But it's the plumber with the
it's a lot
dripping
harder.
tap.
It's accountability. Hold yourself accountable to what you're trying to achieve.
But it's also even the vision piece or the goals. And I guess the vision can be a goal. Like I do a presentation. We do these free sessions for young creatives who are coming through. And what I did through when I was learning the creative in my own time, I had these like mini goals I wanted to get on the front page of this industry website. Like I just wanted my work like featured.
I thought you meant you on the front.
No,
Your
my
work.
work.
Okay.
My work. So I wanted my work featured on that, and like your work had to be good. And so I kept doing projects, and you have to finish them to submit them to get rated. So I had these, and that was not the only one that I had. And sure, it was just for vanity, or it didn't mean nothing. I achieved it once. I was like, oh, cool. And then I got a couple more. I was like, hey, what was the point of that? That was stupid. But it was still a short-term vision or goal, which held me accountable because there's nothing else to keep me accountable other than I wanted to get, on the front page. So like for creative project, I think setting up the guardrails and or having looping back to
Booking time in your diary.
Yeah. You've got to be self fucking disciplined and accountable. You have to, otherwise you just fuck up.
Like if the goal needs to be, I guess, big enough.
Yeah, it has to.
To do it. But I still think in the day-to-day, I still struggle with it when I feel like, I think even Hato, you said earlier on, when you feel like it's not that important or it doesn't influence anything. But the problem is that it's the 1% each day that eventually it does, and it bites you in the ass at some point later on. I don't know, like there's so many things where it's like that was 10 minutes. I should have done that 2 months ago. It's fucking ridiculous.
But if you want elite results, you have to have that extreme accountability. You have to have it.
What are some practical tools to get to that extreme accountability, do you think?
Use your calendar use your calendar. You let your calendar drive your day to day. You slot your times out and commit to getting shit done. You have to do it.
Get it in front of your face.
Get in front of your face and drive your actions. I mean, turning up because we're all behavioural beasts, right? So how do we set the behaviours? So allow your calendar to drive you, particularly if you want some great results.
And accountability as well. Putting things out there a little bit. Sort of
sure.
like you did
which is why I say to you lads at the different stages, does your wife know? Does your team know? Have you had those conversations? Because the more you put it out there, the more people are going to be able to hold you accountable. Not that you need it, but they're your external perimeter. That's your barbed wire fences or your electrical fences in reality. Because if you're going to take time from them to deliver a result, they should fucking know that you're delivering that result when you're not there.
You're like the Berlin Wall, Conrad.
I'm a lot softer than what I have been in my life, mate. But you've got to do it. You have to do it. You've done it. You've done it. I've seen you do it. You've gotten a lot better over the years.
That is Travis he's talking about.
Yeah, the one that looks like God.
What did he do?
No, Trav. When I've watched Trav's business evolve, but Travis has always had a very disciplined approach to business. It's gotten sharper as you've gotten busier and bigger because there's no more time in the world, right? Everyone's got 24 hours. So it becomes, how do you use your time? Our friend Dale is struggling with the moment because he's taken on this commitment to growing his social profile and this and the other, and he's dropping behaviours. And I circulated with him the video about the marbles and the rocks and the golf balls and then the sand and then the water and how many things you can fit in, but in what order are you doing things? Yeah.
All the little things in first, it just fills it up.
In a jar.
Yeah. So, what are the big things that are going to get the big results? Get them done. What are the hard things that are going to get the great results? Get them done.
I like it. Gentlemen, this was a bit longer than the 10 minutes that Conrad predicted.
I think I only spoke for 10 minutes in total.
You
times it by 6.
You spoke for 10 minutes. You just transcended the information for the other half hour.
Transcendence.
So, look, great topic. Thank you to the true Mike Brown for your image. I apologise for the author. Was it Amanda?
Hug and kiss.
Yeah. Amanda.
I want Amanda hug and kiss.
Okay, we'll link this up in the notes. And
I had it here.
So if you're sitting on any big decisions,
make them.
Do?
Get your coin out.
Flip a coin.
Flip a coin, but you already know the answer, so don't worry about the
worst case scenario.
Amanda Abel.
Amanda Abel. Excellent little article. Thank you very much. Look, the coin is one thing, but also I swear by that plus minus, particularly if you're making it.
It's not a ledger.
Mate, particularly if you're talking about a group or a few people that want to make a decision together, it's a really good way to just quickly get on paper without getting into too much depth, just up or down, yes or no. And it's a good way to discuss things and brainstorm.
Well, it makes it visual.
Yeah, and it's not just all about you and your own decisions. Sometimes it's
I get it. I get that in that context of a team and a brainstorm. I get that.
Yep. So, great episode, guys. I enjoyed my cider, which is a pleasant change from my last drink that I brought. Was the
Did you guys?
what was it? What was it called?
Beer.
The root beer, which was an interesting challenge.
Did you guys watch Jamie Oliver when he used to travel around Italy in that van, that mobile cooking van?
Where'd you get this from?
Because he had the name of the fucking van, which he cooked in, was called the Cock Inn, like COCK Inn.
Yeah.
That's his dad's pub, isn't it? I think in the UK.
Cock inside.
The relevance of that last segment was incredible. I appreciate your input into the closing ceremony of this episode, Conrad.
Make sure you review us
cock in.
on all good platforms.
Thanks very much for joining us.
Spotify.
That's all we can say, right, Charlie? Thanks very much for joining us.
Champagne.
Hopefully we cut out the last 20 seconds. Champagne.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
It's only 10 seconds. Not even.
Bye.
There was a joke in that. I lost it.